Hello, some of you may remember I recently coded this thing, and if you don't, there's going to be a link to the video and the finished demo in the description below. And I thought that maybe instead of using dots here, I can use cubes. Now, this is a very bad idea for performance, so please don't use this on an actual website, but I still think it's something really cool to explore. So what I'll be doing is mashing this demo with this demo right here, which I also coded, and you'll find the link to the video and the finished demo in the description as well. So I'll just be putting these two together and see what comes out. So the way I'll be doing this is start by just copy pasting the structure from here, and then just start taking stuff out. Because obviously when I have cubes, I have more elements, so I'll be having fewer rings and I'll be having fewer cubes than dots. So yeah, let's reduce this to half. I won't be having different repetitions for hues because I'm not going to have enough rings anyway. So here, of course, now everywhere I have dot, just replace this with cube. So dot replace with cube. All of them, okay. And I won't be having something like 20 cubes. Let's reduce the number to something like 9. Okay. Now that I've done this for the rings, I'll be having a rotation around the y-axis. So this is going to be j. This is going to be a rotation around the z-axis. So this is going to be k right here. And then I'll be having another loop inside the cube, and this is going to use the number of faces. And this is always 6 for a cube. So sorry, just use this, and it's going to have a different loop index. It doesn't really matter what we call it there. So this is the number of faces. So inside I have my cube face elements. Okay, so this is it for now. For now, no other changes to the structure. What we'll be doing is taking from the CSS, just take stuff from here, okay, and then let's start taking stuff out. This is going to be, just going to put a rotation here, let's say something like -35 degrees, because that's generally a good one. Here I'll have a rotation around the y-axis, so this is going to be y, this is going to be rotate y, this is going to be j right here. So just use it like that. Okay. This translation, let's leave it at 0 for now, and we'll be seeing about it later. Okay, now the next thing that we do is add that cube mixin from this other demo right here. So let's put everything in, including importing compass. Of course, a lot of stuff we won't be needing and we'll be taking out. So here, everything that's animation, we just take it out. Everything that's animation on the cube itself, take it out. Above, what we have here, this is the shadow. So everything that's shadow related, take it out. Yeah, these are shadow related as well, so take them out as well. Here I have animation and a bunch of stuff that I've already set for all the divs in this case, so just take them out. These, I don't want to have a collision with what I set on the rings and on the cube itself, so I'll just be moving them on the face. Okay, so, oopsie. Okay. Yeah, this. Okay, having done this, background here, let's just set it to current color, and we'll be seeing about this a bit later. We won't be having, this is used for the shadow, that's not going to be used either. Here we don't use anything related to animation, shadow, and we'll be dealing with the background a different way, so Okay, that just leaves the edge length. So let's just set that edge length to something like 3 ems. Now let's set our cube, include, and now we have the mixin, and it uses this edge length. So let's see how that looks. Oh, we're not seeing it because the current color is black, so the faces are black. So let's set a box shadow, and here we'll be having an inset box shadow. Offsets will be both 0, the blur also 0, and we'll be having a spread. This is going to be white, so it contrasts with everything else. So sure enough, we can now see a cube. Okay, that's good. Now let's actually distribute this somehow nicely. So let's say it's going to be 5 times the edge length. We'll be computing this a bit better later, but let's see that. This is not going to be translate y, it's going to be just translate. So this distributes the rings around the cube. And let's decrease the perspective a bit because this is a bit too much. Okay, now let's take this and use something similar on the cube. Okay, sorry. So I'll just have to take this again and copy paste it. And this is going to be a rotation around the z-axis, so third axis. So let's see here, we'll be having rotate. This is going to be k, and it's going to use the number of cubes, not the number of rings. So cube there. Sorry. Okay. And this is a bit too much in terms of translation, so let's bring it down to 1.5. This should be doing something. So now let's see the rings a bit more clearly. And to do this, we'll be working on this color right here. So we'll be deciding on a base hue that's different for every ring. And the thing about the base hue here, and the reason why I moved those I and J values in here inside the face, is because here I'll be having a computation where I use J, but this is the J that I set on the ring and not the J that I set on the face. So this is the J set on the ring that gets inherited on the cube. So this is J times 360 over the number of rings. Okay, and I'll be using this base hue in HSL, and the reason why I'm using capitals there is so that Compass doesn't think it's the Sass HSL function, and I can use the CSS HSL function. Okay, so here I have the base hue, and I don't want really vibrant colors, so I'll be using a lower saturation and I'll midway lightness. So now you can see the rings, they have a distinct color. That's good. Now something else I want to add in here. I want to add a difference here based on what face I'm taking into account. So I have plus here I times 15, something like that. So I should be seeing a difference. As you can see, now the faces are colored differently. As you can see, there are 3 different colors for all 3 faces that we can see. Okay, good. Now something else I don't want is the cubes to go fully around a full circle. So we'll be having less than a full turn here. So let's say something like this. Okay, we don't want them all to be the same size, so we'll add in a scale. And the problem with scale 3D is that I need to repeat the scaling factor 3 times if I want uniform scaling. So to get around that, let's have a custom function. Let's put the fun in function. So here I have just 1, and it returns scale 3D, and here I repeat the scaling factor. So this is what I want to avoid basically. Now here I'll just take this calc and just put it inside the scaling function. I'll just take the turn value out. So just take everything that's related to angles out, and I'll just have. Okay, this looks great. We can actually make this even smaller. Okay, so something else I want to do here is add in, make their initial rotation depend on the position of the ring on the torus. So what I'll be doing here is, so it's going to be let's say something like this gets inherited. Okay, so now they're rotated differently, but actually I want a bit more in terms of that. So it's going to be 3 times. So that makes a bigger difference. Now something else I want to do is decide upon an offset. So this offset is going to be 0 initially, and I'll be using a unitless offset so that I can use it for the hues and I can use it for the angles as well. So here I'll just register name. This is going to be my offset. Okay, syntax, and this is basically the type. So let's say number, initial, and even though we set it in the CSS, we have to set it here as well. And finally inherits, and this wasn't mandatory before, but now it is with the latest spec change, and it's mandatory in Chrome as well. So we need to set this true. Before the default was false, so just so you know, but now you have to set it explicitly. Okay, so here I just animate the offset, so I bring it to 360. Now this is not going to do anything unless I use animation offset linear infinite. Okay, so I need to use that offset somewhere, so let's say I use it here, offset times 1 degree. So now this should work, and as you can see, everything is rotating. So the rings are rotating around the central axis of the torus because they depend on this offset, and the cubes on a ring are rotating as well because they depend on this rotation angle, which depends on the offset in its turn. So now let's change the hue as well, so as they rotate. So here let's do something like this. So now that I'm doing this, as you can see, the hue keeps changing, and I constantly have this sort of pink, purplish pink, pinkish purple, I don't even know what to call it, in front, and I have that sort of greenish yellow at the back. Yeah, so this is kind of weird, but I guess it works, so that's pretty cool. Something else I can do is add in a rotation around the y-axis, and make this depend on that rotation as well. But the thing is, I think I can increase that as well. So for example, do something like this, like as you see right there, just do it like this, and have a calc in there, or maybe even bigger. So calc, just paste that, and let's say I have not 3 but 4 or 5. So yeah, something like that. This is kind of laggy, so maybe I just bit more than I can chew with the number of elements, but still. So yeah, let's see for better distancing. So what we can do here is compute basically the in radius. So I have an angle that's going to be a relative. So relative torus in radius. And this is going to be, so basically if I have the edge is going to be 1, then this is going to be the tangent of half the central angle. So .5 the tangent, so that's going to be pi over the number of rings. So this is the relative, and the relative one for the cubes. So this is going to be for the rings. This is number of cubes. Okay, and I'll just be setting this here in the style, here in the style. So the first relative radius and the second relative radius okay. Now that I've done this, I can use these values. So here this should work. Okay, relative. Okay, let's see. And yeah, I should add the one for the torus, for the ring. Relative. Okay. Okay, that's kind of weird that it happened. Let's see this. Okay. Okay, that's why. So yeah, that's a lot better actually. So that's the tight version. Let's see here. Okay, so actually I can make it something like not so tight, and let's say I use 1.5, and it becomes, well, that's too much actually. It's choppy anyway, but this may be about the recorder being on, so it may be less choppy if I'm not recording the video. But overall, I think it looks pretty good, and I'll just leave it at this. This is what I wanted to show you for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have and you want me to be able to put out more stuff in the future, please consider supporting my work. You can do it in one of the ways explained in the description, by becoming a patron on Patreon, and there are a lot of cool perks to that, so check that stuff out. Or you can make this kitty very happy by getting her something off her Amazon wishlist. Or you can at least share this to show the world what can be done with CSS these days, because honestly, I think it's pretty damn cool. In any event, thanks for watching.